Today, we're going to talk about how to make selling your app easier. And this applies to you no matter what stage of development you're in, whether you're just starting out with your app or whether you're actually at the point of marketing and selling it. Now, the problem we see with this is that someone can have a really great app idea, a really great solution, and they can even spend time building out a really great product. But if they don't know how to properly and correctly talk about their product, market it, and sell it, they can build up all this momentum and traction throughout their app's development and then have it fall completely flat on the other side. Now, we don't want this for you. So we have a process that we're going to go through today to help make selling your app easier. Now, this is a process that we take our own private clients through. And while we can't go through that whole process in this one video, what I'm going to do is cover some of the basics so you can get started. So what I'm going to do is share my screen, and we're going to jump over to the whiteboard and dive into this. So first, if you're new around here, my name is Kristen, and I'm the co-founder of Coaching No Code Apps. So we help business owners and industry experts build custom apps to start their app-based businesses or grow their existing businesses, all without coding. So when jumping into this process, you first have to understand that your app is providing a transformation of some sort. So you've identified a problem in your market. Now that problem revolves around some sort of process, right? So currently your target market is doing a certain thing in a certain way. You've identified problems with that, so you're solving it with your app, right? You're solving that problem or those problems with your app. So you have an old process and you are transforming that into a new process. Now, the new process is your app. Okay, that's what this new process is. So the old process is the current, what will be the old way your target market does things, right? It has problems revolving around it, or problems that stem from this process. And those problems hinder your target market in some way. That's why there needs to be a solution. That's why you're building your app. Now, your app, or that new process, it solves those problems and therefore enables your buyers to achieve a different outcome. So instead of hindering them, it is enabling them to achieve something. So let's go through an example. Let's say you are building a job board app. So an old process might be that companies in your industry, when they try to fill their roles within their company, they are hiring headhunters, or they're going to recruiting and hiring fairs, or they're sending employees there to try to fill new roles, and they're spending all this money and all this time. It's taking a really long time to find people, find the right people, much less have the interviews, get them onboarded, and so on. So this is the old process, right? Companies are spending a lot of time and a lot of money filling their open roles, and it's hindering them, right? That time and that money, it's a hindrance because it's preventing them from growing, right? Because at the end of the day, they're hiring a new role because they want to grow. So it's hindering them from growing. So you've created a new process, right? In this example scenario, you are creating a job board app for this industry. And your new process involves companies coming on, posting jobs, and hiring applicants right from the app, setting up interviews right from the app. Now, this enables the buyers of your app to save time because they don't have to send people to hiring fairs, for example. And it enables them to save money because they're not having to hire a headhunter, for example. And really, it's enabling them to make money because it's helping them hire someone faster. And ultimately, when they add on new roles, ideally, the company should be growing, right? Making more money. So the old process hinders, the old process is what you're solving, and the new process enables. The new process is your app. So what I want you to do is first define the old process. And when I say define it, I mean literally write it out. Define, explain, write out what that old process looks like and what all the problems involved with it are, why they are hindrances. And then I want you to do the same for the new process. Define it, write it out. And you might have already created parts of your app. Essentially, you're explaining what your app does. You're explaining the process that revolves around your app and also explaining what it enables your app's buyers to do. So you're going to define these and you're going to have an old process and then you're going to have a new process. So next, we're going to go through two other really important details that you have to build on top of this new knowledge that you have. And that is that when you are building your app and marketing your app and selling your app, you have to keep two different types of people in mind. So first, you have your users. And second, you have your buyers. Now, in some situations, your users and your buyers could be the same person, but in a lot of situations, these two people will be different. So in the example of our job board app, a user might be a human resources employee or a human resources manager who is in charge of the hiring. They might be the ones actually hands-on using the app on a daily basis. But your buyers could be the CEO. It could be the business owner. It could be the person above that HR manager. Whoever it is, your buyer and your user would be two different people. But again, even if they are the same person, you still have to treat them as two different sides to the same person. And this is where a lot of people start to go wrong, because it's important that you're able to talk about the old process and the new process to the right person. So when you are, let me get my highlighter out here. When you are fixing the old process and you're providing this transformation into the new process, you are building all those features, all those different steps involved within your app, all that functionality, you're building it for the users themselves, because they're the ones who are going to be in your app, navigating your app, using your app, right? They're the ones executing. But once you have that new process, right? Once you have your app, you have those enablers, okay? These are the outcomes that your app provides. So for example, your new process from a user standpoint might mean automating the way they find job applicants. It might mean providing video chat integration so that they can hold live interviews without meeting in person, for example. The features can involve different ways of posting jobs, for example, right? We could keep going and just listing out features. Those are for the users, but the new process enables outcomes, right? All of those features actually lead up to certain outcomes. Those outcomes are the things like saving time, saving money, right? Making money. So those enablers, those are for the buyers, okay? So if you are talking to prospective users about the process, you're going to be talking about the features or the workflows, the specs, the functionality, the more technical side of things, because they're the ones who are going to be hands-on. But when you go to sell the app, it's important that you have a reason for a buyer to invest their money or their time in you. And those are your enablers. Those are the outcomes that the process, those features, all those specs, all that functionality, these are the enablers that all of those things provide. Okay, and those are important to your buyers. So, to kind of recap here, the specs and the features, these are important to your users. And the outcomes and the results of those specs and features, those are important to your buyers. So you have to make sure that you are able to talk to these people in the right way. Because if you're talking to your users about the outcomes or the results, those enablers, it's not going to resonate because that's not really what matters to them. And on the flip side, if you talk to your buyers about those technical specs and you start throwing out technical terms and technical jargon at them, it's not really going to resonate because that's not really what matters to them. It's the outcomes and the results that matter to them. And again, these could be the same person to you, but you still have to know how to resonate with the right context at the right time. So if that person was asking you how, what the actual process looks like, what the technical side of things looks like, well, then you know what to start talking about. But if they're asking you why they need your app, why they should buy it, or what value does it bring them, well, then that's when you switch to the buyer side and you start talking about the outcomes and the results, right? That time saved, okay? The money saved and the money made. Okay, so that's when you start talking about these types of things. Now, this is obviously going to be specific to your app, but that's when you would start talking about these things. So again, this is a process that it can be difficult to get right because as the developer of your own app, you're really close to it and you get excited about those specs and features. You get excited about all the technical stuff that goes behind your app, right? It's something that even if you're not passionate about it yet, because maybe you're not to that point of building it yet, it's something that you will become passionate about, right? But if that's the only thing you can talk about, if those technical specs, for example, are the only things you can talk about, then when it comes to communicating with buyers, and this doesn't have to just be communicating face to face, this can be with ads, with online marketing material, whatever it may be. When it comes to communicating with that buyer, you're going to fall flat. It's going to go over their head and they're probably not going to care, or they're not going to find the value. They're not going to understand why they need your app because talking to them about a certain workflow in your app just doesn't resonate. So you have to talk to them about what benefit it gives them. So again, this is kind of just a taste of where you can go with this, but you have to be prepared from the beginning to sell your app, to market your app. It's not just about building it, because you can build a really amazing product, but if no one can understand why they should use it, why they should pay for it, then all of that development time may be for nothing. So define the old process and define the new process. And I mean, actually write it out and explain it. And then understand what matters to your users and what matters to your buyers. Be able to describe those things, because that's really what's going to help you market and sell your app. This isn't some quick hit silver bullet type of solution. This is just fundamental groundwork that you have to lay in order to really build traction with your app on the other side of development. All right, I hope that was helpful for you. If you want to learn how we take our own clients from their idea stage to having a working minimum viable product they can start testing, you can head to coachingnocodeapps.com/apply and schedule a free strategy call, send over a few details, and we'll see if we can help you from there, and we'll chat more. So again, I hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.